Cam Ward is on Miami's campus. Visit started last night, continuing into today. Can Miami get their new quarterback one? Here's everything we know.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Boy, I wish I could have been a fly on the wall at Prime 112 last night when Cam Ward and company were there enjoying dinner as the visit for Miami's top transfer portal target is continuing into today, taking more time to see the campus. I'm sure meetings with coaches and all that good stuff is going on today. I'm Alex Donno, your host. I'm a University of Miami alumnus, longtime South Florida sports radio vet, and contributor to allhurricanes.com. Thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen. We're free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. And we are live right now. If you're watching us at 11:03 a.m. here on Wednesday, smash that like button. If you're on our YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe to our channel. And if you listen to the audio version, make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your pods. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. As we bring in our awesome guest, he did such a great job last week. We had to get him on again as soon as possible. Brad Tejeda is with us. Now, Brad, Miami Twitter or Miami X, whatever we want to call it, they were wilding last night. I want to caution, right? For things seem to be trending very positively for the Miami Hurricanes finding their transfer portal quarterback, but the X insiders are going. Nothing's been finalized yet. We follow the trends. We're going to try to give you guys facts here on this episode today, so things can be trending positively, but nothing is done until an announcement is made. With that said, Brad, you've got one of the greatest hat jacket combos I've ever seen, so I know you're doing well today.
Oh, absolutely, man. First of all, thank you for having me. I got to pay tribute to my guy, Rick Ross, who we're going to talk about a couple times here on the show tonight, right? But, I mean, I had to go with the Rick Ross tribute starter jacket.
Yeah.
But, man, it's a great day to be a Miami Hurricane. I'm hoping we get some big news here later on today. But, I think we're in a predicament and in a realm that I don't think most Hurricane fans are used to in this day and age, especially – with the transfer portal, the way recruiting is, NIL, a lot of different scenarios. When we talk about the quarterback, not just who we're going to get, but you have two very good options here on the table for the University of Miami, and Will Howard and Cam Ward. Yeah. And I think these are not only your 1A and 1B options as a Miami Hurricane, and not only who I feel the staff feels as well, but there's a lot of universities out there that would love either one of these quarterbacks. And I think what we've heard from a lot of people is, Will Howard obviously got the first visit at Miami. And just before I go into the Will Howard visit, I mean, just talking about this, when we talk about timing, not only what Mario and the staff does very well when it comes from a recruiting standpoint, when we talk about timing, which we will later in the show, but what they're doing as far as a timing standpoint, when they talk to these transfer portal guys like Will Howard and Cam Ward, they were able to get their number one and number two option to visit within 24 hours of each other, which is amazing, right? And I think Will Howard, kind of got the advantage by visiting first, because I really think he blew it out the park. I really think he did things that the staff was really in awe of, and really thought, this could really be a guy that could fit our system, which they already.
And let me interrupt you for a second, because that's a really important thing to note, because people forget that these visits, the interviews are a two-way street, right? It's not only Will Howard getting his impressions on Miami and what he likes and doesn't like about the city, the campus, the coaching staff. It's also Miami getting to evaluate, how does this young man handle himself? We've seen the tape. We've heard the referrals of what he can do on the field. Like, we have an idea what he is as a quarterback, but what is he as a young man? Is he a culture fit? Is he a leader? So they're interviewing him as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And not to mention, I mean, these are two elite level guys that in the past, Miami would never have the opportunity of even getting these guys to look our way. This would be a vacation for a guy like one of these two, right? Now, these are serious questions that are going to be answered. And I think, with a guy like Will Howard, he really blew it out the park. And I think the staff really, took a step back and really thought, this could be our guy. And if you really look at it, from a football standpoint, I know a lot of us, like myself, are really high on Cam Ward. We're on the Cam Ward train. From an eye appealing standpoint, when you go on social media, when you look at, possible Heisman candidates, Cam Ward is on that list, right? So this is the beauty eye prize answer that you want. But in a Shannon Dawson offense, Will Howard honestly could really excel and take this offense to the next level. So I want you guys to know that whatever we choose, I think we're in a very good spot. I think we're in a spot that we're not really used to. Where I think this is really a win-win scenario. Now, when you go to Cam Ward, who started the visit yesterday, had lunch, then had dinner, obviously, like you said, with Prime 112, with Rick Ross, right? You bring up the picture there. This was a visit that, again, not only us fans, not only from, a media standpoint, but you're obviously seeing from the staff as well. They brought out the red carpet, right? They brought out Rick Ross. They brought out Rohan Marley. They had, current players on the team like Jacoby George and Mark Fletcher also joined, during the visit. He had, the lobster tail, the shrimp on ice. He had everything. He had the whole 9 yards. He had exactly what you would want from your quarterback one, premier visit. And again, I think Miami knocked it out the park. And I think Cam Ward as well, really felt at home and really thought this could be the place to be. As we talked about before the show went live, Florida State, thought that they could possibly have a shot with Cam Ward. Obviously, now they're turning, their attention to DJ. But they have not even got an answer from Cam Ward's side if he is even going to visit Florida State at this standpoint now. So now, again, same thing like I said with Will Howard, again with Cam Ward. You are now in a position where you have two elite guys who both are bought in my opinion, to want to be a Miami Hurricane and be quarterback one, right? So now this staff has a very tough decision on who they want. I think in the past, we wouldn't have decisions like this. We would have to, fall for, quarterback 4 or quarterback 5 or quarterback 6 and hope that they just want to be a Hurricane, right? Now you have quarterback 1A and quarterback 1B that both are committed to wanting to be a Hurricane. Now it's up to you to decide. And I think from a Miami Hurricane fan, you got to be excited about it. And I think news will come very soon. I'm hoping today, from other people I've heard, it should be today. But I think, they are very close to making the decision. And it's going to be a fun ride.
And I want people to know, if it does happen today, I'll be back. We'll have an emergency episode if Miami does get their quarterback one. And I may bug Brad again. I'll say, Brad, whatever you're doing, drop it and then come over here. We'll do another episode. It's okay. I want to get the prediction from Brad and the prediction from our live chat on who it's going to be, right? If Miami does really have this luxury of choice today, Will Howard, who just visited on Sunday into Monday or Monday into Tuesday, Cam Ward, whose visit is continuing today, Tuesday into Wednesday. If Miami does have the luxury to be able to pick between one of the two of those guys, who is it going to be? You know what you want to do, my friends? We're only getting started. We're a week away, exactly a week away from National Signing Day. I've got my spatula here, and I actually remember to bring my spatula today, Brad. I've got my spatula out. I know Mario Cristobal has his spatula. After we're done talking about transfer quarterbacks, we want to talk about possible flips that Miami can still land before December 20th. And we have to talk about a potential Matt Lee replacement, a transfer center who's going to be visiting this weekend. All this means, folks, we are only getting started. You want to keep it locked right here to Locked On Canes. And you always want to keep it locked at FanDuel. I'm having so much fun this football season and this basketball season. Now my head is spinning. There's so much action out there. And as the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot at FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action than right now. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, which are so much fun, over-unders. I usually prefer betting unders, but any game that involved Iowa this past year, I would bet the over, and I won like 95% of the time. That's just how that went, man. So much fun at FanDuel. You could also bet so many more things. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off that NFL season. Also, basketball, hockey, everything's going on. Bowl games, college football playoff. You want to check it out. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts, available free on YouTube. And make sure after you're done watching this episode of Locked On Canes, you check out Locked On Sports Today. This network, Locked On, has launched the first ever 24/7 streaming YouTube sports channel. They do not sleep at Locked On Sports Today. Check it out. They're on all the time. And also, I'm going to be on either later today or tomorrow. I'm going to be on with Locked On Wisconsin, Locked On Badgers, talking about our pal Tyler Van Dyke, who has officially found a home in Wisconsin. So I'm going to be keeping busy all over the network today. I know Brad Tejeda is always keeping busy. So, Brad, you talked about the options, 1A and 1B. Cam Ward, who's finishing up his visit today at the University of Miami. Will Howard, who visited Monday into Tuesday. If I'm going to make a prediction, okay, I think – this is an educated guess. I think Cam Ward is going to be the next QB1 at the University of Miami. What is your prediction?
I think I would agree with you.
Okay.
Me personally, this is just my personal guess. I would agree and say Cam Ward is the quarterback. I do really think it is a tough decision.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't complain with either decision. I'm cool with either one. I mean, my gut's telling me Cam Ward, though. I think this is the guy they've wanted, from the jump, even before, he officially entered the transfer portal. This was a guy that, was very eye-appealing for a lot of offensive coordinators in college football. He just simply makes plays when plays break down. And he didn't really have a good offensive line, and we have a very good offensive line at the University of Miami, as you know. And this is a guy that needs to make plays, and I would love to see him make plays at the Hard Rock Stadium. I'll definitely be there. And hey, most people already got a number 1 Hurricane jersey, right? All you got to do is put Ward on the back.
Yeah. I want to talk about this a little bit from YouTuber who writes us in. People keep thinking Cam Ward is a dual threat quarterback, and he's not. He only has 265 yards rushing in 4 years. He's a great mobile mover in the pocket. A couple things there. I mean, you're not wrong. His mobility, extending plays is what he does best.
Correct.
Also, though, his running stats are a little bit deceiving because sack yardage counts against that, and he was getting sacked a ton at Washington State. I think he scored 9 rushing touchdowns last year. So it's also not accurate to say that he doesn't run. Like, he does run, but extending plays kind of the way that Jordan Travis did at Florida State. Correct. That's a superpower of Cam Ward. So mobility, he's not like a guy who's going to run for 100 yards per game, obviously, but he does have mobility and escapability, Brad, and an ability to extend plays.
I mean, he's obviously relying on his arm, right? He's trying to get to the next level as a quarterback. He was already, some already thought he was an NFL prospect before ending this year at quarterback. So he obviously knows what he's doing with his football mechanics. I think, me personally, what you're looking at is it's not really, do we need a quarterback that could run for 100 yards? No, we need a guy that can make the right decisions. And when someone's not open, I need you to tuck in and run for 5 to 7 yards. That's all we need. And he's a guy that could definitely do that. I think the big thing you need to look for with Cam Ward is, I know a lot of us Hurricane fans, we harped on Tyler Van Dyke this year with turnovers and interceptions. But Cam Ward has something very similar to that with fumbles. Right? So I believe he had 17 fumbles. He's got like close to, I think, 30 or 35 in his career. So that's going to be something to look out for. But again, with a better offensive line, I'm hoping things get a little bit more established with that. But this is the top guy on everyone's board. You're not gonna deny Cam Ward as your quarterback 1.
And another thing, I forgot to bring this up on the show yesterday. Miami does have a Washington State connection with Kiko Mauinoa, who played with Ward a couple of years ago. And of course, Kiko, within the past few days, made the awesome announcement that he's staying for his final year. He's not going to the NFL. And my understanding was that, Kiko was Ward's host on his visit. So they've got the pre-existing relationship. And I can't think of a better ambassador for Cam Ward than Kiko Maui-Noa, who knows exactly what it means to make the transition from Washington State to Miami and can get him up to speed better than anybody else. So that's just another ace up Miami's sleeve, and having a guy who knows him and played with him at his previous stop.
Yeah, for sure, Donno. And you talk about Kiko staying, that was very important. But a low blow for us Canes was Matt Lee, declaring for the NFL as well. And that was a big spot that Miami, kind of already knew going into this, once he officially announced that this was going to be a big spot to fill. We kind of talked about it in the recruiting world, some of us that really follow recruiting, how important and big of a miss it was to not land Connor Lew, just a cycle or two ago. You look at the first team freshman All-American board, and Miami had 3 on there. They had 1 on every side of the football, right? You had Dylan Joyce at specialist, you had Ruben Bain on defense, and you had Francis Mainoa on offensive line. But Connor Lew was in that mix as well. You could have potentially had 4 guys, in the future at Miami. So going into this, that center position would be very key. And like I mentioned, last time I was on the show, Donno, guys like Ethan Miner from North Texas that, they were having some communication with at center was the option. And obviously Jabari Brooks as well, who recently just committed to Central Florida, if I'm not mistaken. So that left you, with a big option. And, we'll be talking about Zach Carpenter, who I think is a really, really good option for Miami. And again, we bring up the word timing, and I think timing is everything. When you talk about not only recruiting, but how you're getting these transfer portal targets in, whether that's Marley Cook going in with another in-home visit today with him to trying to seal the deal over Ohio State and Baylor, which I think Miami could possibly do. But then when you talk about Zach Carpenter, he's already had 2 official visits in North Carolina and Maryland. And obviously with North Carolina, you look at that predicament. Corey Gaynor, ex-Miami Hurricane, as we all know, just declared for the NFL. So North Carolina needs a starting center to fill. And then you look at us with Miami, right? Matt Lee just declares, and you have Alex Mirabal and Coach Cristobal, who are the best of the best in the business when it comes to the center position, at taking them to the next level. And if you really dig in deep into who Zach Carpenter is, not only on the football field, but off the football field, this is a kid that played at Michigan and then transferred to Indiana. He played at Michigan. They tried to, convert him to guard and center. As we all know, in the offensive line here at Miami, we like to, cross-train a lot of those guys. And that's how he started out. But I think once he made that transfer to Indiana, he was very intimate on wanting to be a center and wanting to be that guy. He just carries the stigma about him of wanting to be a leader in the locker room. If you really watch his interviews and just the way he talks and communicates, he's very high on the culture and the diversity and the camaraderie of the football team as a whole, and how they just represent themselves and how they are as a football team. And I think that's a very good, strong point for us Miami Hurricanes, because when you talk to recruits, whether it's Derek Plaz or Juan Minaya, or just current guys on the football team, being friends with Ja'Kai Clark a couple years ago, and then other offensive linemen and defensive linemen, just the camaraderie of the football team and how the locker room has been in the last 2 years and what Mario is trying to build there. I really think it fits home for Zach Carpenter. And he's also a barstool athlete too, right? So he already understands from the NIL standpoint of what it takes, to be, your hand in a couple things to make some money on the side. And I think why not pick Miami over Maryland and North Carolina? And again, I bring up timing. He wants to make a decision very soon, and his last visit is with Miami on Friday.
I love that. So Zach Carpenter, Indiana transfer center, could he be Miami's center of the future? And we've been talking about Miami's quarterback of the future. Cam Ward is on campus today. Started his visit last night, had a nice dinner at Prime 112. Rick Ross showed up to that dinner, which looked fantastic. And again, Miami rivals for Cam Ward seem to be pulling back a little bit. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Plus, we're 7 days away from National Signing Day. Miami went in home yesterday with a certain Jeremiah Smith. Let's talk about the latest on that. Let's talk about some of these other flip candidates like Jordan Lyle, Armando Blunt, Adarius Hayes. The list goes on and on and on. So great to have Brad Tejeda with us. And we're not done, my friends. We're really only getting started on this episode of Locked On Canes. So you want to keep it locked. And you want to keep it locked to LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to have as many top-tier candidates as possible to interview. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. Guys, LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. Hiring is so easy when you have that many qualified candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. Thankfully, with LinkedIn, the process is intuitive, quick, and easy. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even easier and quicker. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thank you so much for making this Transfer Portal Mania episode of Locked On Canes, this live episode, your first listen and your first watch today. And I feel like based on the amount of people who are watching us live, there should be way more smashes of the like button. So hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On Canes on YouTube. We got Brad Tejeda from Canes Insight with us. And, you know, Brad, if you start to read the tea leaves, seems like some of Miami's rivals in the Cam Ward pursuit maybe retreating a little bit, okay? Because you also have to see what the analysts from other schools are saying. Brendan Sonnone at Knowles 24/7 indicated this morning that as of this time, Florida State still does not have a visit scheduled or finalized with Cam Ward. They were hoping to get a visit right after Miami's visit. So at least at the moment, that's encouraging news for Miami that Ward apparently wants to see how this Miami visit goes before he decides to visit Florida State or anyone else. There seems to be a lot of pessimism on the Ohio State side about their pursuit of Ward. So most of the signs are pointing to Miami at least being in the driver's seat at this moment.
Yeah, like I said, man, I think we're in a very good predicament where it's really just up to the staff of who they want. I think we're in a realm that we're not really used to, especially at the quarterback situation. You know, we've had Tyler Van Dyke in the past, and I think, you know, not to throw any shade at some of the other portal guys that we've had in the past, but they weren't the top of the top list, you know, for all the other schools like USC, Texas, Ohio State. You know, we're battling with the alphas out there, and we got number 1 and 2 on campus, you know, within 24 hours. So I think we're doing a very good job. And I think we're in a spot where it's really up to us who we want as the quarterback, and I'm excited.
All right, and Miami is 7 days away from National Signing Day. Is there any word on the in-home visit last night with Jeremiah Smith? Obviously, Jeremiah, he is the whale of all whales in this recruiting class. Top overall player, top wide receiver in the class, Chaminade Madonna. So he's a local guy. He's got multiple teammates of his committed to Miami. Miami went in home with him. Now, there was this rumor that like Cam Ward showed up at the in-home. That's completely unconfirmed. I don't know what went on in that in-home visit, but I don't think Cam Ward showed up to it. But do we know anything, Brad, about where Miami stands with Jeremiah Smith?
No, I mean, as far as the Jeremiah Smith situation, I don't have any specific details on how the in-home visit went. But I do know, you know, Miami has definitely played their cards and everything the right way from beginning to end with Jeremiah Smith. I think they're still in the same spot that they thought they were in a week ago, or even the last time I talked to you. You know, that they feel comfortable that they've done everything they could to land Jeremiah Smith. I think from a public standpoint, when you look at the tea leaves or the things on the timeline, right? It doesn't look good in Miami's favor, whether it was, you know, the interview after him winning a state championship and, you know, slipping up saying he's committed to Florida State, or, you know, going on social media and still, you know, liking or retweeting stuff from Ohio State. But again, it goes back to the word timing, and timing is everything. And I think Mario's doing a very good job when it comes to timing and doing these visits when they need to be done. You know, we're just 7 days away from early signing day. I expect, you know, maybe one more thing up their sleeve to try to get Jeremiah Smith to be a Hurricane. And, you know, I think us announcing a quarterback 1 here, hopefully in the next 24 hours, will give an idea or perspective of where Jeremiah Smith's head at. And I think he's really got a tough decision. I think the closer it gets to the 20th, I think he's starting to realize that this is a bigger decision than, a lot of people give him credit for from the outside looking in. And this is the number one recruit in the nation, and he's one of a million. And I think doesn't matter where he decides, he's going to be playing on Sundays, and he's an elite special guy. And I wish him the best wherever he goes. And there's a possible 8 flips out there for Mario and this.
Talk about those, because I was about to segue into that 8 potential. That's why I got my spatula, and actually by tomorrow I'm going to have an official University of Miami spatula. It is being delivered later today by UPS, so I'm going to have an orange and green spatula tomorrow.
Yeah, man, you got 8 patties on the grill right now, Alex. Man, we'll see how many we throw cheese and lettuce and all that on it, but if we could land maybe even half of that, that would be real nice. But I expect at least, multiple flips for Mario and the staff in the next 7 days. And when you really look at the list, I mean, we're at 28 commits right now. We just, grabbed Kendall Jackson right out of here in my backyard in Gainesville, Florida. He's a 6'4", 255-pound defensive lineman out here, man. And he was committed to Florida for a while. He decommitted on the 2nd of December, and 7 days later, he commits to the University of Miami. And anytime I talk to him or his mom, they really talk about the home body feeling of just how the staff feels like family to them every time they communicate and talk to them. The realness vibe that they get from them. And then obviously being coached by Coach Joe Salavea and Jason Taylor, why not be coached by a Hall of Famer? Like Kendall Jackson always says, man, his nickname is Hollywood, and he's trying to go Hollywood and start playing on Sundays. So why not do it with Jason Taylor? So being able to get a guy, from the University of Florida once committed is a nice little thing that Mario could put in his sack of presents that he's going to be taking around Christmas. But we'll see what happens, man. You got Adarius Hayes, who's also a Florida commit linebacker. Miami is obviously trying to flip him as well. They've gone on an in-home visit here recently. So that's one of the possible flips to look out for. You also have Jordan Lyle, running back from St. Thomas Aquinas, who just won a state championship. That's another big name that I would look out for. You got Armando Blunt, who was once recently committed to the University of Miami out of Miami Central, now committed to Florida State. He's another guy that went on an in-home visit. And also Ed Pata stopped by as well in the morning. So that's another guy, that I would potentially look out for as a possible flip. We talked about Jeremiah Smith and his teammate Cedric Bailey. Those are in question. I don't really know about those two. We'll see what happens with those guys. Right. And then you got Xavier Lucas out of American Heritage, who's committed as well to another program. And I think Miami has been doing their due diligence on that guy. And I think we need some more guys in the secondary in this recruiting class. And I think he's a name to look out for that could possibly flip. And then you got the 2 big names, that everyone's looking out for, right? Dylan Stewart and Ellis Robinson. For a while, it's been pointed to Georgia for Ellis Robinson. And it still might point that way, right? But, a lot of the staff members and fan base on social media have really tried to gather around in the last, 72 hours and really put some more momentum on that Ellis Robinson train to see if we could possibly flip him, because this is a guy that we've put at the top of the board from the beginning in this recruiting cycle. We talk about Jeremiah Smith a lot, but Ellis Robinson has been, right up there as far as how they treat the recruiting process for a guy like him. So he's going to be one to watch. And then Dylan Stewart, who's committed to South Carolina. You can never get enough defensive linemen in this recruiting class, it seems like, right? And we may lose one in this recruiting class. You never know. But I do think Dylan Stewart is that last big whale out there besides Ellis Robinson and Jeremiah Smith that could possibly be a Miami Hurricane to watch. And then later on, Xavier Mincy will be announcing in December where he decides to go. And that's going to be the last name to look out for later on in the future. But like I said, you got 28 committed guys right now. I would say if you could land maybe 4 of those names I just said, you're about 32 range, and you may lose about 2 or 3 guys in this class. So you're right about where you need to be, about that 30 range. So I like where we stand. And if we could get that recruiting class where we need to be, get these last flips going, and really submit this last, couple months into the transfer portal, I think we're in really good shape. And a lot of it goes to Canes Connection, man. Canes Connection is doing an excellent job. So shout out to them.
Shout out to them, indeed. Shout out to Brad Tejeda, and shout out to you guys. Got over 1,000 here in the live chat. And man, if you're stopping by, make sure you're hitting that like button. Hit that like button. Subscribe to Locked On Canes on YouTube. And if you missed any part of this episode, you want to go back and hear it, the replay is going to be posted on YouTube, of course, and you can get the audio version. The audio version is awesome because you can take us with you wherever you go, on a jog, in the car, listen through your Bluetooth speakers. Locked On Canes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your pods. He's Brad Tejeda from Canes Insight. Follow him on X at Tejeda Brad. Follow our show at Locked On Canes. If you follow us, we will follow you back. And this is the best time of year to join Locked On Canes Insiders. You could try it free for 14 days. Click the link in the show description below. You get SMS text messages directly from my phone to yours with recruiting updates, show previews, breaking news, visit updates on Cam Ward and, Zach Carpenter this weekend. Try it free for 14 days. Then if you like it, you can opt in for $4.99 a month. Consider that a Christmas gift for yourself if you want to opt in. Click the link in the show description below. Brad, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Appreciate it, Donno. Go Canes.
Go Canes. And guys, again, if we do get any breaking news later today, I don't have anything that important going on today, not more important than this. So we will hop back on if need be. We'll talk to you again next time. Yeah, sorry to cut you off. We'll talk to you again next time. Another episode of Locked On Canes right here on the Locked On